It's going to stop and get going. Sausage Bowberry.
Mics are hot. They are. Whoops. Got to turn that one down. The mics are hot, y'all. Well, mine is anyway. And now your mics are hot.
Mine is.
Good morning. How are you?
Any better, there'd be two of me.
Okay. Well,
If you'd like
we
that.
might need two of you this morning because I'm just like, okay, I need to go take a nap or something.
I'm about to sneeze.
Okay. Pills that you don't normally take until after you get through with the show and get something to eat, stuff like that. I took one this morning because I was hurting. Oh,
And now you're like,
yeah, not good. So then those two crackers probably want a cracker. So did I. Well, crap.
we're going to start this morning like
Which
this.
one?
As hump day was nearing its end yesterday, there I sat in my easy chair working on notes on a whole bunch of hot stories. Some notes about my personal feelings, meaning opinions, and the comments and opinions of others. Suddenly, in through the door walks Mr. Gremlin and 17 of his friends. They
My
took control of
goodness.
my fingers. Actually, just one of those little digits. Slammed that finger down with the strength of Thor. And that caused my entire page of notes that I was working on to completely vanish before my very eyes. That kind of stuff has happened before.
You need to
I
do
panicked.
a Google sheet.
What a woo.
A Google
Yeah.
sheet, a Google document, because as you're typing it, the power could go out. But when you come back up,
No.
That document-
The computers have a battery on.
no, I'm just saying that you won't lose it if you use I'm using a Google document right now. Get my weather on here. And if something happens in the middle of it, it's still going to save what I have.
Well, it's happened to me before.
Well, okay. Yeah. Okay.
But I thought I had learned something called recovery.
Ah.
My computers have got that thing if you do it right, but I panicked. There's no need to hurry, but I did. It would have all worked except for the fact that before I went backwards into that system, the blank sheet that was in front of my very eyes,
Mm-hmm.
I hit save, which replaced the original document with one of nothing. All was permanently gone. Best illusion trick I've ever seen. I've seen some magicians, that dude that makes airplanes disappear and stuff.
Right.
Maybe it was for the best. Maybe what I was putting down there was just not the best thing in the world. Good Friday Eve. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Chris Marks.
I'm Lee Barrows.
You had to think about that.
I
one.
did have to
Really?
think about it.
I saw you thinking.
No, I was going to say
something.
something like, another day I'm Lee.
Oh my goodness gracious!
All is good.
Stuff is happening. We may pick up
No.
a little noise in the background here this morning in our headphones, and you might even hear it on the air because we're monitoring the live VHF radio. Those are the radios that the folks at the Big Rock and boaters everywhere use, and the boats have left the dock, I hope, and they're heading out to the Big Rock or points beyond. Don't know where they're going to be, but they're heading out there, and they're looking for the big one. They got a big one yesterday, and they got a lot of big money for that big one yesterday, being the first marlin of the tournament.
Over 800,000.
For a 449.7 pounder.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool.
Brought in by the bank walker, and the lady angler was Lizzie Montague.
23 years old.
Oh, no,
Not bad.
she's just a little thing too.
Oh, I know. I saw that.
If that had been me
my.
coming to the dock,
Oh, you'd have been on the bow.
I
Like
would have
that.
been crawling on my hands and knees. And when they say, "How do you feel?" I would have just rolled over then, because she fought that thing for over 2 hours.
Yeah, it was a big fight. Well,
Yes, God bless her. You go, girl.
that's a nice fish and it was kind of like the unofficial, really first day of the tournament because days 1 and 2 did not work too well for anyone. There were no marlin caught. nobody fished yesterday. What was yesterday?
Yes.
Wednesday.
Joe, they
It
fished,
was
did not fish day before yesterday because it was really sloppy. And
Tuesday.
Monday was even worse than that, but 40 boats or so fished Monday just because.
43, I believe, fished.
And
Monday.
it was, they got the biggest fish was a 14-pound dolphin, mahi, El Dorado,
mahi.
whatever you want to call it.
Beautiful fish.
Yeah, delicious fish, but they turned it in, they weighed it. And they also weighed 2 3-pounders, which
First boat in Monday. First boat in brings in 2 dolphins, and they weighed about 3 pounds apiece, and they were almost embarrassed. But
dolphin.
you know what? Well, yeah, they said, well, this is a 1 taco dolphin. This is a 2 taco. But the thing about it is, every fish counts, has points
Has a
attached
point.
to it.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Chris said, that's a good point.
I'm just trying to figure a 2-pound dolphin.
It might
About
be
that long?
that 2-pound dolphin might be the 2-pound decision that puts you over the top runner.
Huh?
Unlikely, but yeah.
Even Michael Jordan does better than that generally.
Now
Yeah.
he didn't come to the dock yesterday.
Yeah.
Is he on his boat?
He's there.
Oh, yeah.
Where would you stay somewhere? Is there a place in Moorhead that's better
Than the
that-
yacht
than
he
the
has?
staterooms on that boat, do you think?
Oh,
I
no.
doubt it,
Yeah.
The 84-foot Bayless that was
Ah.
made by Viking.
Yeah.
Hey, he's probably got a gym down there, putting green. I'm just,
Probably a basketball court.
yeah.
That was our sports editor. Will be calling in about 7:45.
Okay. And we got Mike Yanera, the retired police chief, public safety director here in Jacksonville, a career
great guy.
lawman. He's hung up his badge, but he hasn't hung up his credentials. Let's put it like that. He's still working because we saw that he'd just gotten back from somewhere in Massachusetts.
Yeah, he said the
Join them.
language barrier was rough.
Yeah, from Tennessee to North Carolina to Massachusetts, and we got to understand what y'all mean. Nah,
I said, ask him for some iced tea and see
Yeah.
what happens. Tell me you want some sweet
sweet
tea.
tea. They say what?
I
Sweet tea.
learned that when I went with my sister the last time to New York, and we stopped in like Pennsylvania and other places. She goes, don't ask for sweet tea. And I go, why? There's no such thing as sweet tea. I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
I'd ask for Southern tea is the way I do it.
Oh, you
And
know,
those who know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
where I'm in the South, they understand.
Well, that was shocking to me. Who doesn't know what sweet tea is? What's wrong with those people up there?
Same thing.
Well, they're up there,
Oh my God.
and we're better off.
Same thing wrong with those people in Wisconsin. Wisconsin.
The cheese people? Aren't
Yeah,
they the
cheeseheads.
Cheeseheads.
They're
Man,
the cheese people?
Yeah, but I like cheese. I like some cheeses.
I would go there for their cheese.
Well, instead of going there for cheese, I just want to go down to Bonaire because it's a Dutch country, Dutch owned. So all that stuff you could get in Holland, you can get there at the airport. They got those big old wheels of cheese
Ooh.
at the
Oh.
duty-free counter.
Oh.
So you can
I'll
bring
be coming back.
You can bring that stuff back with you
Oh,
if you
yeah.
want to. Stick it up in the overhead bin. It's all right. It doesn't count against your weight that way. Okie dokie. Might as well get it off my chest.
Good.
Sometimes, not all that often, someone will bring out what I think at the time is the worst in me. I've got some worst in me. It's not often that I take the bait that sometimes is thrown at me. Very, very seldom anymore. If I do, then I deserve a beatdown that I give myself later on. This time, those who regularly listen know that I have opinions. Opinions. What's an opinion? How do you define an opinion?
Your personal thoughts on a subject.
Exactly. It's how I feel about a subject or about my way of life or about my political views or anything else. They're my opinions, right?
Right. I agree with that. And I agree also that you have the right to have that opinion. Just as, okay, let me throw out an example, Chris. You ready?
Sure.
I love NASCAR.
Yeah.
No, see, that's not usually what you say. You'll go,
Well,
all they do is go in circles.
for me, I'll say they go round and round and round they go. Where they stop, nobody knows.
But what I'm saying
Until they crash.
is, I respect your opinion the same way I respect Chris's. Mine doesn't count half the time. But
Why?
I'm
Why are
just
you
kidding.
putting yourself down?
No, I'm not putting myself down.
Everybody
But I'm
else
just
does,
saying,
but why-
everybody else does. I'm just saying that I agree with you 100%, Rayford. You have strong opinions. You've been in.
Well, sometimes they're strong, sometimes they're not so
I
strong.
say
but-
strong because you have a lot of knowledge of history
Because I
and
lived a lot of it.
and stories and like you can just start talking about something that happened in 1976 in Jacksonville with this that occurred and I'm like 1976 where was I?
Barely.
You know.
Barely.
But so and when we get into politics on the show here,
Well, now,
We're all
my,
pretty much
my
the same.
political views about individuals, they can change as often as I change my socks.
very much so.
When people do things that I don't like, I sometimes don't like them as much as I used to.
Right.
But that's when it comes to politics. But by this time, if you listen to us regularly, listen to me for the longest time, I've got opinions, and those opinions are ingrained. They're built into my system. They're woven inside. They're not going to change. I've been around this, what they call the block, the proverbial block. I don't have any idea how many times. I've seen and experienced a bunch of stuff, and within this part of the state, I only know firsthand, perhaps, 4 other people around here. 4 other guys, all about my age, who have had some of those same experiences. I don't know their names. I've never talked with one of them. We pass, we nod, and we move on. We're not buds. We're not going to sit around and lie to each other. We don't do that. I could care less whether you like or respect my opinions. It doesn't matter to me. I do resent more than you will ever imagine. Not knowing me, you with so little of life's real experiences, comparatively speaking, want to change my opinion. Who are you? Who do you think that you are? But you're going to change my opinions. That's just being disrespectful. I'm not going to reach out there and try to tell Lee that, except when we joke, which we do a lot. That NASCAR thing, they ought to abolish NASCAR.
Hey.
God, that's just a bunch of stupid people running out there, a bunch of hicks running out there, came from moonshine runners.
Just like wrestling. Now look, I know wrestling is WWE is not real. I mean, they do get hurt occasionally when they fall wrong.
Entertainment. I don't care about it.
Entertainment. And my mama loved it so much. And
Carrying on the tradition.
even when she was in the hospital or she was in hospice, whatever, we had WWE on for her. And we sat there with her and watched it. And so it means a lot to us too. But I know when you say WWE, some people go, oh, that's stupid.
You'd be amazed. You'd be absolutely surprised at the individuals that just live and die for WWE or whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's entertainment.
That's
it's
right.
their form of entertainment. I don't care.
I can't, but I know your biggest hobby is fishing. I love
My
to
biggest
fish.
hobby is diving.
Well, diving. Okay, you're right. Now, I'm not a diver. I have no interest. But when you do go on your trips and you're sending in pictures, it is so fascinating. The pictures are so beautiful. And I had, it makes me kind of think, I had wished years and years and years ago when I was much younger, maybe I could have taken up diving. I mean, it's a sport. And I'm sure for you, it's very relaxing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Nobody talks to me.
I don't have an issue with you diving, and That's like
The
Chris.
phone doesn't ring.
Chris and I are similar in some ways. We do a lot of volunteerism, and that's our thing when
Mhm.
we're not here.
I
So,
volunteer y'all to do a lot of stuff,
yeah, you do.
Yeah. even when you don't know about it.
Yeah. Well, surprise.
I'm not going to try
Guess
to
what?
change your opinions, either
Right.
one of your opinions. Okay, if I was an anti-military person and didn't want to deal with this wreaths across America stuff, I just shut my mouth because that's a you thing. It's a me thing, but it's an us thing. But if I was not involved, I would just keep my mouth shut. Sit down, and shut up. That's the easiest way to do things. We can have intelligent conversations. Y'all, anybody, they can express their opinions. But sometimes, if you ever open it up with, wouldn't you agree that, no, you're going to lose? First of all, I'm the most disagreeable person you'll ever meet. I practice it. But that's a sophomoric third degree interrogation. Really? You're going to play that on me? I will laugh until you, to one of y'all, then stupidly outright tries to put words into my mouth, such as along the lines, then you admit that you will break the law to enforce the law. Stupid. Ridiculous comment. One of the most idiotic things I've heard in a long time. If you really want to play the same political stunts that idiotic, ill-informed or uninformed congressmen or half-witted criminal attorneys in training are trying to trip up when they talk to cops, really streetwise law enforcement officers, you really should stick to something that can earn you a little bit of money and leave the problems that we face in this country to professionals. My opinions are mine, nobody else's. You're not going to change them. I don't care what you think. Your opinions are yours, and I'm not going to try to change yours. We can have great conversations. We can express our opinions. I'm not going to bash you for yours, and you're not going to bash me for mine. Not over here, because there's a button over here that stops that.
It's okay to disagree.
I hoped we have people that disagree.
Right.
We do.
I know it. I love it. Theo, for instance, we agree on a few things. And in general, we probably agree on more than we disagree on.
This is me when Theo calls. Oh God. But I love Theo.
I do too.
And I just let him get it all out, and I'm sitting there going, oh, but
Yeah, but the day
He's-
that you try to convince me that I should like rap music, for instance, that's an example.
yeah, I'm
Don't
not
get mad at me.
Right.
I don't
right.
do rap music.
I'm not
I
a
don't-
big.
I don't either.
I don't understand it. I don't like it. So therefore, my opinion is I don't care for it. Why would you try to convince me that I should? Huh? Wouldn't you agree that, Lee, that I should like rap music?
No, I
That
can't
was a
say
bad
that
setup,
because
but that was a setup.
I'm not a big fan of rap music. I'm more operatic and
Yeah.
theatrical music and stuff like that. I mean, that's my favorite. I mean,
There's no such thing as a right or wrong when it comes to opinions. There's no such thing as right or wrong.
right. Well, I forgot I do have a middle singer, so
Kind of like trying to convince me about that rap music thing.
I
No,
try to convince you
It's not
against
wrong,
my
but I just
metal
don't like
rocker.
it. I think Thor was probably very smart last night
Why is that?
in making my first set of notes go poof because they were not nice.
It probably burned off your computer.
I heard at a funeral this week and describing the recently departed, he was pretty brusque. But his brusqueness covered a heart of gold. I prefer that no one try any longer to dig deep into my being to find my hidden brusqueness or even a heart.
There you
You
go.
don't need to do that. I got an opinion.
Hmm.
Now, I want to know about your rain yesterday because we're going to go into weather here. We had about
A
an
lot of
inch
rain.
here. You
I
had
had-
double that.
2.79 inches of
Almost
rain
3
in
times
30
that.
minutes. In 30 minutes.
You had more than that.
Do
Not
what?
in rain.
No.
Not in rain. You had more
Oh,
than
yeah.
We had a
that.
lot of greenery there at one
Yeah.
time that's going to be turning
I may be
brownish.
calling out the public for assistance soon. I don't know. I'm waiting to see what the estimate I'm getting from the tree man. But I was, it was pouring rain.
trees, man.
The trees man. And I'm sitting there watching, all my TV's going. I've got several things going. And the cat came in the back door and then came in through the doggy door, ran by me like a streak of lightning. And I was like, what in the world is, I thought something might be chasing it. I'm
Yeah, a
looking
tree.
around, I don't see anything. A few minutes later, I went and walked into the kitchen and I looked and I'm like,
You hadn't heard a thing?
never heard it. And I was like going, what's, well, just make a long story short, during that burst of rain and wind, I had 2 to 3 trees that were behind my fence
2
line.
to 3. You don't know how many.
You can't get back there to
count.
see.
Oh, you couldn't even count them?
I couldn't, I'm not sure. I think there's 3, but it had just toppled over my fence. And they're tall trees, so they're all the way up to my back door. A little over half the backyard is full of trees. And so
Uprooted trees, right?
uprooted. They
They
were
didn't break off,
uprooted.
did they?
They were all uprooted.
Okay.
So
You got really wet ground.
well,
Yeah.
actually, if the city of Jacksonville is listening, there's a big ditch that runs behind my property, behind my street.
Uh-huh.
It's about 8 feet deep, and the trees were on that line. City.
So, city, those trees belong to the city?
Well,
Right
I
away.
tried that before, and they
It
said
won't work.
no, it
No.
fell on your side. Yes, your problem.
That's right.
But I was like, hey, y'all want to come get your trees? But so anyway, I'm getting an estimate, and I've got some family and friends that said we'll just bring chainsaws over.
Yeah, get the boys out with the
We'll
chainsaws
see.
and the keg of beer. You got that
We'll
sucker
see,
lit.
because I've got to call the city and say, now if I put like 5 trees on the curb, could be 2, could be 3, could be 4, could be 5. If I put all these trees on the curb, chopping them all up, are y'all gonna come
Don't
get
chop them up. What you need to do is get a big tractor and drag them out there. Just leave them. I'm kidding.
it? So says the bill from the city when I get it.
Probably
Anyway.
cheaper than the
Anyway, it was just surprising because I never heard them fall, and I never heard wind.
and they're not pines.
And they're not pines. A lot of
So
good
that's the
hardwood.
good stuff there.
Yes.
I'll take my load or two. Of
I
course.
may have to take the cap off my
You-
fireplace and go ahead and stock up some wood for winter.
There you go.
You may have answered the question that's plagued man forever.
What's that?
Does a tree make any noise, any
It
sound?
falls in the
If-
woods.
It falls in the middle of the forest.
Well, I told you with the roof I have, it's very hard to hear anything outside anyway. But you would have think I would have heard the trees falling. The cat obviously did. The cat
That's
was
called- you know why?
obviously
The
outside.
cat was up in one
I
of the
would tell you, I was just going to say.
Oh no, that cat came in like, and I'm
he
like,
did. If he's in that tree, he
Yeah.
would have done that too.
oh, but it's a mess. But you know what? It'll all be worked out. It'll be fixed. Everything. Because I'm not worried about it.
All right, weather's looking really good for the
Yes.
remaining days of the Big Rock Blue Marlin tournament.
Yes.
I expect there will be 1 or more boats making their way up to the Hatteras area either today or tomorrow. A lot of big fish have historically been caught up that way, so it's a couple hour run for them. But you're out there. You got plenty of time. Offshore today, southwesterly winds, a light breeze, 5 to 10 knot seas, 2 to 3 feet. Bad for surfers. Sounds and rivers, a light chop, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms today. Tomorrow, southwesterly winds 5 to 10 knots, east 2 to 3. Sounds and rivers, a light chop again. Showers likely with a chance of thunder boomers. Saturday, you got any more trees left? Saturday,
Yeah.
southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, east 3 to 4 feet. Going to pick up just a little bit on Saturday. Not bad. Yes, very doable. Sounds and rivers, a moderate chop. Showers likely with a chance of thunder boomers.
I would say I did give the information to a meteorologist, and he said it could have been a microburst of wind. So anyway, yeah, a few more down. I won't have to worry during hurricane season.
Mhm.
All right, today a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Partly sunny with a high near 87. Cold wind becoming south around 6 miles per hour in the afternoon. Tonight a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy with a low around 73.
Mostly bloody.
Cloudy. It was cloudy. Friday, showers likely with thunderstorms. This is
Yeah, I'm listening to what you
70%
say.
on Friday. Yeah, mostly cloudy with a high near 82. Saturday, another 70% chance of showers and thunderstorms, partly sunny with a high near 85. So it looks like this weekend may not be tree removal weekend.
Probably not.
Yeah, we'll get it. Oh, we have breaking news.
What's that?
Have you seen this?
What?
A London-bound Air Indian passenger jet with more than 200 people on board crashed shortly
no.
after taking off from an airport in India's western city, Ahmedabad, whatever. The airline and police officials said it wasn't immediately clear if there was any fatalities. A rescue operation is currently underway. And it said the plane was headed to London's airport.
Heathrow.
No, not Heathrow, Gatwick. London's
Gateway. Yeah,
Gateway?
I think it is.
Okay. Air India said a police statement said it crashed in a civilian area near the airport. Early reports suggested the plane may have come down on a hostel housing doctors.
Hostel. Yeah.
What is it? Hostel
It's kind
housing
of like, it's kind of like
doctors.
an Airbnb.
Okay, that's weird. Hostel
Hostel.
housing doctors.
It's like a hotel.
That's
with
what
an S.
that's anyway. We are ascertaining the details and we shall further updates. So.
Anyway, so my little surfer girl was in memory of Brian Wilson, who passed away yesterday.
Mhm.
Oh,
For the Beach Boys.
Yep.
So
Oh,
there's
is that
one.
what you were doing?
Yeah.
Sorry.
He was.
Took away your moment.
Well, no, I just see the Beach Boys.
I'm sure you've seen him, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, who
Oh
has
yeah.
not?
Mike Love's the last one left, which is the cousin, but Brian Wilson was one of the co-founders, main writer, main singer.
Mhm.
I saw them in the
And,
60s for the first time, along
Did
with Bobby Goldsboro. They were an
Oh,
opening act for
God.
Bobby Goldsboro,
Love
along with
Bobby
the
Goldsboro.
Buckinghams, kind of a drag.
Yeah, kind of a drag.
Yeah.
Hey, baby, don't let
Down in
Icon, music
Sarasota.
icon. Well, a couple days prior, Sly Stone died.
Yeah.
He died from complications from COPD, but he was, how old was he? He was
Yeah, they were just at
born in 43,
Yeah.
they were just in Durham.
82.
The Beach Boys were in Durham last Thursday.
Were
Yeah,
Yeah.
at Deepak.
Yeah, I saw them a couple times in Wilmington. They would come for the Azalea Festival and things like that. It was fun because that was the one that I could get backstage with them,
Yeah.
beforehand because I was the photographer, and they were always fun to be around. And the crowd, oh my God, what's the song about Southern California girls are the prettiest girls type thing? Oh, what's that
East
stupid song?
Coast girls are.
Oh yeah, West Coast girls are. Yeah, you'll find it somewhere. But anyway, that of course one of the I probably still have the LP from the early '60s, mid '60s. What's their famous song? The biggest song they had that I can think of.
Other than Little Surfer Girl,
Surfing USA. Yeah, that was one of their.
Surfing
That was one of their
USA.
very first ones. So first one that made it big. So
They were proud of the fact that they withstood the invasion of the Beatles.
yes, they were.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did.
and they did. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of groups were knocked out of the ballpark on that one. When
Yeah.
The Monkees were my favorite.
What?
The Monkees.
the Monkees.
I had a
They
crush on the
weren't
drummer.
real.
No, trust me.
Hey,
Davy
hey,
Jones
I
was real to
know,
her.
To
No.
her, they were, but
Davy
they
Jones.
were.
No, I like the
I
drummer.
wonder who
the
was
best.
actually playing and singing.
Davy Jones.
He might be one. He'd be the only one.
Yeah, those were my heartthrobs.
Well, there's one left with them too. Mickey Dolan. is
Yeah,
still-
he
he's
was
left.
he was my Mickey Dolan was
Yeah,
my
he's left.
favorite.
You know, back in the bubblegum music era.
Here we go
Oh,
with
yeah,
That's what it
opinions.
was called.
That's what it was.
Back in that era, they had so many groups that were the 1910 Fruit Gum Company, the Ohio Express, and there was one or two more. They were the same people. They went under different names.
Should be a Spice Girl.
Did you ever see them together? No.
You should be a Spice Girl. You could be nutmeg today and cinnamon tomorrow.
A lot of folks say, "What is this big rock thing?" when they show up around here. There is a place in the Atlantic, off of Cape Lookout, Morehead City, that neck of the woods, out there.
Tell
Quite
us
a
about
ways
that
out
rock.
there. That big rock is big. But in the scope of the ocean, it ain't that big. It just comes off the bottom. I think it was probably dropped by aliens when they were flying over here a few times. Probably was shot down by the pirates.
Yeah, pirates.
Did you say aliens?
Yeah,
he said
alien, illegal
It's that
aliens.
pill he took without eating
Not their
first.
brothers.
Hey, he took the pill without eating first.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
Big fish are out there. I've fished that at the big rock, around it, on top of it, and whatever, but not for marlin because I wouldn't know what I'd do. Kind of like a German Shepherd. What you gonna do with it when you catch that car?
You know what? You could
Duh.
put a leash on it and let you tow it, let it tow you back
It
in.
might not be coming this way. It ain't a thing over yonder that I want. And then I'd have
Giddy
to pay for the gas to come back.
Oh my
No.
gosh.
Yeah, I fished out there. We've done fairly well on some kings and some Spanish and some dolphin, mahi,
Right.
whatever you want to call them. But it's fun out there.
It is. It's a sport, and it's fun, and you've got to enjoy the water. You've got to enjoy the being on a boat. You've got to enjoy being out there in all the elements, and like, you know.
Yeah, if you talk with my buddy George, we were out there a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
And you're looking up. There's a thunder boomer out there.
Oh, I remember that story.
It's getting closer. It's a big thunder boomer. Okay, put the cedar plugs on. We're not going to be trolling anymore at 5, 6, 7 knots. We're going 20 knots.
And didn't you have to go the opposite direction?
Oh yeah, we went
Yeah.
away. We went offshore to get away from the storm and try to let it come between us.
That would be kind of scary.
And so, I mean,
But you don't think about all those elements when you're out there. Like
Who
you're
doesn't?
actually out. You're out. Well, at thunderstorms, yeah. But you're out there. It's hot. You're getting burnt. You smell like fish. You know.
you hope.
You're dehydrated. You need food. You need water. Of course,
No.
you've got all that with you. But what I'm thinking is, you don't think about all that because when you're out there fishing, nothing matters
No,
except for
no.
thunderstorms and water spouts.
Well, we can run. We did pull all the lines in, and we did put it in high gear because the boat.
Yes. I
it
remember
run
when that
45 miles an
happened.
hour. So
Well, Chris, you're sitting there shaking your head. You wouldn't go fishing on a boat, but you're going on a cruise.
Yes, I will go on a cruise, but I'm not. Let me tell you why. So I did it one time. We left out of Morehead. First thing we do is we get on a sandbar, going out of the channel somehow.
What?
I was just on the boat. I wasn't doing anything other than
Who was at the helm? Anybody?
yeah.
How
It
big was
was
it?
Was
Was it a big cruise line?
No, not a cruise line. No.
Oh,
But out of Morehead docks.
Oh,
And
okay.
so we
Charter
get
boat?
out. No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
private boat. Okay, so
Okay.
so we're going out. We get on the sandbar. We get out. We get it off the sandbar. We go out. The captain is eating Vienna sausages, drinking a beer.
kind of fish.
There you go.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to say how much I had to drink the night before, the Dramamine I took, and so we
How
get.
did you even enjoy?
Counterproductive.
Yeah, it was. So we get out there, and eventually, we're 6 miles off, so I'm losing sight of land.
Right.
Then he starts trolling.
Yeah.
And the diesel fumes.
Oh my goodness gracious!
And
You troll into the wind when you got a diesel boat. I will tell you, you don't want that stuff coming from behind you. And don't go below deck if you do that.
well, I did to take care of business.
Oh no, that's what there's plenty of room out there.
So we're coming home. You're talking about the storm.
Mm.
Here comes this, because one of the friends said, Chris is not enjoying this. We're not catching anything. Let's just go in. We go in. We get a storm. I'm sitting in the back. And and he hits a wave, and I go slam into the captain's chair.
That hurts.
Yeah, it did.
You must have gone out like I've gone out in the Continental Shelf, Captain Charlie's, and there was one other for those. You go 30 to 50 miles offshore to fish.
Mhm.
And the best part of the day was on the way back when you were exhausted and tired and you had
you're
so much
sleeping.
fun. You go up on the very top deck and you just lay down and you sleep all the way back with the boat gently rocking as it comes.
Yeah, we didn't
Nice.
gently rock. we get back to the dock. He goes, "You're not done. You need to go down below and clean up your." And I did. Long story short, we leave. My friend goes, "You need to get your sea legs. So let's go play golf."
Huh?
Well, let's go play golf. Get
Huh.
your sea legs. We went to a golf course in Cape Carteret. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Chris was like,
Here comes another thunderstorm.
oh my gosh.
So we had teed off on number 10. I hooked it. I said, I'll just meet you over at number 11. Get stung in the eye by something. My
Yeah.
eye swelled.
Wow.
That's it. I told him, I said, take me back to your house. Let me get my car
Was this
and go home.
Friday? the
This is a
13th?
true story.
Hey, Fred, if you ever get
No.
a group together to go out like on a fishing trip or whatever, do not invite Chris.
Um,
Completely ruin our trip.
I just knock him out. Right up front. Just
That would
whack.
work. That would work.
I was a comedian. I love watching those comedians on YouTube. I get hooked on them. It was one yesterday. The joke was, the genie popped up. They were out fishing on a boat.
Yeah.
The genie popped up. You got one wish. I don't have time to mess with you. What's your wish? Without thinking, he says, make this lake beer. And suddenly the lake was nothing but beer, and they were out there in the boat. And the other guy said, that was about the stupidest thing you've ever done. Why? He said, now we're going to have to pee in the boat. I didn't know. I just thought it was funny.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, wait.
Lee didn't get it.
That's like you ever be. No, I'm not even going to go
Go
with
ahead.
this story. Never mind. Go.
We were asked to pass a message along to.
Yes, I was
Theo,
just
you trying
getting
to do
ready
that?
to talk
Go
about
ahead.
it. I was going to look up, see where they were going, but you beat me to it. But
Go ahead.
Theo called yesterday and he was talking about how Mrs. Trump is never present with Mr. Trump, et cetera,
Yep.
with President Trump. And Elsie had sent a message in on a comment and she said, please tell Theo that Mrs. Trump was with him on TV yesterday. She is still there, as beautiful as ever, contrary to his hope.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Elsie. Yeah, but they did go to an event yesterday.
She does not. I don't recall any of the first ladies except Joe Biden in most cases accompanying the president, her husband.
Let me see what that was.
Nancy Reagan did towards during the second term a lot more. But I don't recall that much appearance.
Mrs.
They would
Carter
be
didn't.
at social events all the time, of
Yeah.
course. But,
They went to the Kennedy Center for a performance there.
okay.
But no,
Les Miserables.
Mrs. Carter didn't.
Yeah.
The Bushes, First Lady Bushes didn't.
No, she just ruled from home.
They said she brought the red carpet vibes with her.
Yeah.
How about that, Hillary? Could you see Hillary dress red carpet?
I tried not to picture Hillary.
A Rocky Mountain man has been charged with rape and kidnapping that happened last month in Carteret County.
Holy moly.
Yeah, Morehead City Police say Jamison Oakley was arrested this week in Nash County. The 33-year-old man is charged with second-degree forcible rape, assault by strangulation, first-degree kidnapping, and 4 counts of second-degree forced sexual offenses. Warrants say the attack on the woman happened on May 18th in Morehead City. Oakley's in jail under $1 million bond. I want to talk again, and I've done it recently. It seems like some people will never learn the lesson. I want to know what is so thrilling that a married school administrator, a counselor working with at-risk students, decides that having sex with a 17-year-old is okay. The Ohio school administrator, who was married with children, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for having sex with a teen student in her office. Her office. 43-year-old Emily Nutley pleaded guilty to sexual battery back in April and must now register as a Tier 3 sex offender every 90 days for the rest of her natural life. Ugh. Text messages showed Nutley initiated the sexual relationship with the male student in late 2023.
Holy
She had
moly.
texted the student, who was 17 at the time, sent him nude pictures of herself,
Yeah.
and had at least 4 sexual encounters with him.
Wow.
When the teen tried to end things with Nutley, who was 42 at the time, the documents state that she threatened to kill herself and paid him to keep quiet about their relationship. Nutley's attorney filed a separate sentencing memorandum describing her as a broken woman who suffered from mental illness and alcohol abuse and was a survivor of sexual abuse herself.
Oh.
At the same time, her marriage was coming to an end. I guarantee you it has already crossed that threshold, and she was being treated by a psychologist.
All right. You brought up Timon reading
All right.
that story, and I had to look it up because I couldn't remember her name. I knew it was Mary Kay. Mary Kay Letourneau. I don't know how to pronounce her. Remember, she had that relationship with a 12-year-old student, and during the course of everything, of going to prison, and found guilty, she ended up marrying him
It
as he
happens.
got older. Yes.
That's not the first time that's happened.
Yeah. Despite the scandal, they later
I'll be
got
your
married.
your
yeah.
mama, and I could be your grandmama if this keeps going.
Yeah, she was an American teacher who pled guilty in 1997 to 2 counts of felony second-degree rape of a child and subsequently married her former student. I remember that gained so much
That was
national
That
attention.
was big.
Yeah.
Big.
Oh, where is that? Oh, well, it's a good thing he has what they call a protective case on it. Huh?
I tried to catch it for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
I
that.
don't. Yeah, I just for the life of me can't understand. Okay, let's face it, Rayford, we're guys, obviously. Did you have a crush on a
I
teacher?
hope so. Good.
Did you see my teachers?
No.
Yeah, my first grade teacher, she was a real sweetheart, but not a crush.
Okay, go to high school.
First grade, they're like your mamas.
Yeah, first in high school. Did you
High
have
school, let
one
me
that?
think.
Was
I
it-
can't think of one that would have been. Oh, no.
Okay,
No, really.
we had one. We had one at Jacksonville. Yes, I don't. She's not listening, so I can give her a name. Her last name, Miss Cherry, and she was pretty.
Mhm.
And a bunch of the guys all had a crush. Lee, not on a woman teacher, but a
No
male.
teachers that I had. No.
Not Mr.
No.
Kraft, not Mr. Boyle. Kidding.
We're going to take the fog and we're going to
But
die.
but that's as far as it went.
Yeah,
I don't.
I never had any teachers that I didn't feel that special towards. I had great teachers. I
I'm just happy to get away from the school every day because I
Yes.
had other things to do.
Remember Mrs. Metters? We used to sit there
Ms.
and count.
Miller, oh, I knew
We
her.
counted the bobby pins in her hair every
Do
day.
you know that her
wanna have
husband
one
was
of Bobby
the chief
pins.
game warden around here?
I
at the
remember
time?
that.
Yeah.
She
I
wore
knew
her.
them. All
She
of us.
always had pin curls and bobby pins in them all. And we sat there during class and just counted her bobby pins. She was a great
Counting
teacher. Though.
Bobby pins in the hair.
She had a lot of bobby pins in her hair. That's what I remember about her. But anyway, so Chris, are you saying that you did have a teacher or two that you felt special fondness towards?
We had a couple of attractive teachers, but me personally, no, I was more interested in getting out of class and go down to.
I was going to say, what
going
were
to
your
top
grades in that class?
I didn't have good grades in high school except in surfing.
I don't think that was a course.
Let's go surfing. Yes. Where did y'all surf at?
In the ocean.
Topsail.
We went to Scotch Bonnet is where we grew up surfing and going to.
On the pier?
No, in the ocean by the pier, Surf City. I mean, Scotch Bonnet Fishing Pier,
Yeah.
where we went all the
Yeah.
time.
Well,
That was the
so,
biggest place then.
do you remember the big from some war? The big white.
Yeah, the big
World War
white,
II, the
it was like a
observation towers.
watchtower.
Yeah, observation tower.
Yes.
And,
Looking
yeah,
for German U-boats,
yeah.
manned by coast watchers. Yes.
Yeah, I
You
know.
did good.
Yeah, I know exactly. Well, we always went to Scotch Bonnet because we could go in there and get French fries and
Yeah.
things, and you know they had lifeguard out there.
Yeah,
and
That's
the
why
fishing
the
pier
lifeguard was out there.
There you
Give me
go.
a break.
No,
There you
I,
go.
never, I couldn't even
Lifeguard.
tell you what the lifeguard. I'm not. I'd rather
It's
have me a
okay.
good old redneck boy. I don't need a lifeguard.
Okay. Hi there, Mr.
Save
Christmas.
us.
It is time. Papa Talk again.
Good morning.
everybody.
Chris Miller.
Hey, Chris.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How's everybody doing this morning?
We're
Good.
here. We're good.
Nobody's
we're
told me yet, but somebody will, I'm sure.
Well, Rayford, I really enjoyed your little rant this morning. And,
That wasn't a rant. You should have seen what I wrote originally.
I really enjoy when you go off on take a few minutes to go on a little rant like that. So we all know what the subject is and what you're talking about, and we support your. We totally agree with you.
Well, I appreciate that. But, you know, it's just the word opinion. This is an opinion show. You know, we throw in a few news stories from time to time, and then we generally have opinions about those. So our opinions are opinions.
Yeah, there's we can all have agree to disagree and still shake hands at the end. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind. But yeah,
Don't wanna try.
I think that's where that's where we have problems. Is well, you're dumb because you believe this, or you're
Yeah.
dumb because
No.
you believe that. It's just that's all that's not, unnecessary. We can pick on each other and have fun, and
Yeah.
and enjoy. Like Tim Donkeyman does. He picks on everybody, but it's all fun. But it's when you start saying calling people names because you disagree. I mean, that's just and everybody. A lot of people do it on both sides. It's totally unnecessary.
It is, and you know, whether you like Trump or not, I don't like anybody, so I'm okay. I just grew up not liking people, and I don't. As far as politicians are concerned, it's tough to trust them implicitly, not because they're politicians, but because they're people. And I have, and I have to have proof for a whole lot of stuff. You understand? And do not give me your opinions and let them call them proof. My opinions are my opinions. They're certainly not proof. I can't take them to the bank. I can't cash them. I can't buy anything with them. And I certainly cannot introduce them into a court of law. If I cannot introduce my opinions into a court of law, they remain opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I agree. And then there's always those out there that will find every little nitpick thing to fit their narrative. And Lee knows my favorite saying. I'm always telling her, tell this person if they like spaghetti, because there are people that like to throw spaghetti against the wall and hoping it sticks just to fit their narrative. But it just kind of like that. We can all have our different opinions and agree to disagree and shake hands.
Do it all the time.
I'm not gonna. We're not gonna say you're stupid or dumb for believing that. So don't do that.
Unless it's NASCAR. Now, if it's NASCAR,
okay.
I got legal in all the
No,
time. What's going on in the world of sports, sir? It's
Well,
kind of hot to be practicing outside, isn't it?
Well, NASCAR and wrestling.
Wrestling. Yeah.
Wrestling.
Don't talk about wrestling to her.
Yeah.
She likes wrestling.
And by all means, don't mention Roman Reigns when she's around.
What's that?
Roman Reigns?
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he's around.
He is
He's
the
every woman's dream.
WWE. I own the WWE. I am the
I'm the top
WWE.
dog.
Acknowledge me.
I can't even spell WWE. What are you talking about? Nor do I want to be able to. But it's
You know
okay.
who Jason Momoa is, the actor?
The only people that I know anything that were wrestlers were
Ric Flair.
was at a plane crash that I went to in Wilmington in 1974-ish. bring the wrestling team, the wrestlers in that were going to go later that evening and fight each other, and they ran out of gas just about that close to the end of the runway.
Johnny
And they
Valentine.
crash at the prison unit across the street.
Yeah, Johnny Valentine, Ric Flair.
Yeah, I was there covering that one that night because I was living in Jacksonville, but I was there for, believe it or not, a media gathering, an Associated Press conference. Can you imagine? It was the best dressed plane crash that the fire department ever covered, they said.
Well, where we go from Roman Reigns to Ric Flair, that's a big.
Well, you went from the
What's
greatest
the
of
Roman
all
Reigns?
time to the current greatest.
Oh no, you're. Oh,
Oh, boy,
I've
here
never
we go.
really been a big. I've never been a big Ric Flair fan.
Well, well, he's not actually now. Technically, it would be John
Did he just
Cena
die?
because who?
Ric Flair did.
No, he's alive,
Is he? I thought he just passed away.
No, he's still.
Okay.
Yeah, he's.
and he
Getting up
will
there.
get in the ring still.
Yeah,
What the hell?
only for his daughter Charlotte to come up and slap him.
Well,
That was the last time it's storylines.
Yeah. What's going on in the real world of real sports?
Well, you remember in Rayford, you guys will remember this. Remember that Wendy's commercial where the little old lady says, "Where's the beef?"
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, everybody at the Big Rock is asking, "Where's the fish?" this week?"
Oh, they are. They got one.
Yeah.
I know where one of them is. He's on ice.
Yep, and it wasn't. I think what 400 and
449.7.
yep. So I mean, usually by this week, I mean, we've had quite a few. I mean, Mondays are usually a very strong day, but because of the weather conditions, the first couple of days of the tournament this week, it's been a slow tournament, and I don't think it's really been this slow.
I agree.
4 days in for 20 years or so. Like
Watch out for today and tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yep, they're
And
gonna be-
Saturday's
they're
going to
complete
be
shootout.
Saturday. It's going to be 3 days here. It's going to be a 3-day photo finish. You wait and see.
Oh,
Shoot
yeah,
out.
you remember those old car chase movies, and that's what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
The last couple of days, it's going to be every boat for himself, and there's going to be a free for all, a shootout, and it's going to be it should be a lot of fun in the waters. It might not be fun for the fish, but it'll be fun for the boaters and the fishing fans.
Just gave me an idea. I want to go so bad, but I know the crowds are going to be fierce. The parking is going to be non-existent. Rayford, we could take your boat.
to watch them coming in.
Yeah, we could take the boat and come there and just park right off the,
Yeah,
the
figured
landing.
You don't park a boat unless it's on a trailer.
the next 3 days will be a battle royal.
Whatever floats your boat, Rayford.
Lee, that was for you.
What was that?
The next 3 days will be a battle royal. You know what that is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Never mind, Rayford.
I caught that, Chris.
Okay, Chris.
Money and pink.
We got another fine gentleman in here, and he's looking like I am.
He's looking like, what in the
No,
world have
name
I
of
walked
heavens.
into this morning?
Lock the door so he can't get out, would you?
So, Chris, high school sports is just about come to an end for a small break.
Yes, ma'am. Yep, they've everything's is now done. All the seasons are done, and so graduations are all this week, and we wish all the seniors the best of luck as they look forward into their next path. And but yeah, first day of official practice will be July 30th. But these teams are doing stuff throughout the summertime: football, soccer, volleyball. They're all doing. They're not mandatory, but I mean, if you're serious about being a good player, then you want to come out and do these workouts. But that's what they're going to do throughout the summertime: is hit the weight room and do the conditioning and do stuff inside the gym and things like that. And then, like I said, toward the end of July is when the official practice starts, when it's mandatory. And then, a few weeks after that, the games will kick off again.
I'm so excited.
Now in the off season, the NBA players, you know what they do, don't you? They pick
Fish.
up they pick up trash alongside the road while they're wearing those Department of Correction uniforms.
Rayford.
What?
Some of them do, yeah. Some of them.
I do. Chris, I am so jealous.
Oh,
But tell us about your trip to Charlotte last week to see the Savannah Bananas.
the
Oh
waters-
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, not on my boat.
We left at a really good time. and it took about a little more than 4 hours to get there. So the drive wasn't bad.
Right.
Well, we got there. The game was supposed to start at 7. We got in downtown Charlotte at probably around 5:15, around 5, and it took us about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, just to get through traffic. It was just, it was a nightmare. So we finally, finally found a place to park. There was a long line of, people trying to get in the stadium by 6:50. The game didn't start till about 7:20. And they do that on purpose because of this exact reason. So we got there in time for the national anthem and for the game to start. And so we had a good time. We had the outfield seats, but it still was a great view. And the 12-year-old and my wife really enjoyed it as well. So, but it was all as good as advertised.
Yeah, very
wonderful.
entertaining.
Well, that's good.
That's like I talked to Ellie Patino and I said, you could do something like that with the Ospreys, have a moment or two
sure.
where everything stops and the music starts playing and the ball players just start dancing. And he was like, well, we've got a lot of things planned. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, that won't be one.
We
of
could
them,
have our
I'm
own
sure.
banana team.
I know that the high school baseball is over. Are there any? I know we got a coach from Jacksonville High that's coaching the Ospreys this year. But are there any of the perhaps graduating seniors from the baseball team? Are they playing for the Ospreys by any chance?
I haven't seen any. I mean,
Okay.
and we'll have players kind of come and go throughout the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Based on different situations with their colleges and things like that. But I haven't seen any seniors, at the moment. A lot of these teams will be for players who at least have already a year of college experience already.
Right.
And that's what these teams are for. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Josiah, the head coach, brings in maybe another pitcher or another player just for if players come and go. So it's I won't be surprised, but at the moment we don't have any of those players at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Chris, have a great weekend, sir. I hope you get a little rest, R&R.
Yep, just babysitting the Big Rock, and then I'll catch the Ospreys Friday night at 7. They are at home. They've been on the road the last. They took the last couple of days off, not playing the game, but they've been on the road pretty much this week. But I think they're 7-1, so they've won 7, lost 1, and they're doing really well. And they're going to be back at home Friday night at 7.
Yeah. Come on out. 7:05, I think, is the first pitch, right?
Right. Well, yeah, that's usually, yes.
And
yes.
Sunday they're celebrating Father's Day. The U.S. Army will be out there. And they're having a big celebration with that.
Oh, if I get out
Recognizing
of
the fathers.
If I manage to get out of the woods, maybe I'll come.
You got to get the woods out of your yard.
I got 2 chainsaws out there.
Maybe burn them.
And a first aid kit.
We may be having a chainsaw party this weekend, so I'll call you, Chris.
Chris, you take care, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
talk to you guys next week.
All
All right, take care.
He's such a great guy.
Hey,
So is this guy.
Oh yeah, of course, number one.
He's like Johnny Cash, the man in black this morning.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. He just got back from out of state too. How was your trip?
Are they after you?
It was cold up there.
Did you ask for sweet tea?
No, I thought about it, but I didn't.
We were because we had mentioned that you would be in today, and Rayford said, "Yeah, you've been out of town." I said, "Yeah, he was up north," and I told him to ask for sweet tea. I was trying to set him up.
I did have some lobster rolls because we were in Massachusetts.
Well, that's all right. You good?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Did you bring any back with you?
No, no.
That sounds.
How
wonderful.
cold?
I like my lobster.
I said it was cold, Mike.
It was like 60 degrees. It was 47 when I got up. And
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So it was really, really cold. For me, anyway. It was
That's
cold.
I mean, you
I
come
think
from
that's-
Tennessee, and
Yeah.
then now North Carolina.
Yeah. Where
Mike and I go back to when he first came to North Carolina, to Jacksonville. One of the first things he did was join the Boys and Girls Club. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Mike belonged in Tennessee, and he joined our Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, I knew he was.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
president.
Are you still on the board or something? What's your title there now?
Well,
Yeah.
so we're working on a couple things, and I've agreed to help them with some strategies to possibly get a facility here in Jacksonville.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ours was our was it New River in New
Yeah,
River near
New
the
River.
recreation, yeah, on Eastwood Drive. We didn't have a location.
Didn't you have a brother that ended up taking that over or managing it or something?
Anyway, so we had the Boys and Girls Club,
Uh-huh.
and I was the president, and Mike joined us.
And we did some good things. We started the Boys and Girls Club at the Sandy Run, and that was really effective. I thought it was very effective.
It was.
Because they brought in all kinds of arts and music and drama, and those kids just absorbed that.
They did.
We had music lessons. It was a great program when we started.
Yeah, we did experiment. Then we had the one on Sand Ridge that we opened up.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
So
Good morning, fellas.
It's prayer time.
Can we hold on just a second?
Give a little word of prayer this
Come
morning.
straight from the Big Rock Tournament.
Beautiful day. I know some of the fellas.
This is Captain Randy Ramsey, and he every morning at this time during the Big Rock, he offers a prayer.
I started this tradition back, I don't know, nearly 30 years, maybe more than that now. And since he's no longer with us, I feel like it's really important to keep the prayer going, and I hope you all agree with me. Heavenly Father, we humbly come before you today and give thanks for this day, God. Let this beautiful day remind us of your presence is with us each and every day, and that you have provided eternal life for us, Father, through your ultimate sacrifice. I give thanks for this tournament, and I pray everything we do this week brings glory to you. I pray we stay obedient to your wishes and your spirit moves in us, Father. We share the good news with others. In the same way our boat wakes affect other boats, let our actions have positive and lasting effect on our brothers and sisters. God, I see you working this week. It's been amazing to me what I've seen people do in the community and all around this tournament. I see people showing each other love, helping each other when they're having problems. Just God, it's been wonderful. People who've been reaching out to the tournament to hear this prayer. And I pray, God, that this continues throughout the year. It's just not tournament week, but your love is shown from each of us to our brothers and sisters all the time. I pray, Father, for safety of each person on board each boat that's running out. Guide each captain's hand so they steer clear of anything that would harm them, God. I pray for the mates and the anglers that you'd keep them safe and bring each one home. I pray for the families who are on shore that you would watch over them, Father, and keep them safe. Today, God, I take time, we pray time to marvel at all that you've done for us and all you've given us. From the vast ocean to the smallest creature. God, someone sent a photo of me the other day of a little flower growing out of a little crack in the sidewalk. He said, that is me seeing God today. I don't think there's any better example of that. I give thanks today for all those who worked to prepare this tournament, and those who are involved each week. I give thanks for Madison and Carly, Crystal, Michelle, Tyson, and the entire Big Rock team. I give thanks for the board and the volunteers and each person who welcomes the teams into our community. I give thanks for the visionaries who started this tournament, God, who were imaginative in concept, devoted in purpose, and bold in action. I give thanks, Father, for the first responders in our military who willingly put themselves in harm's way for us every day. And Father, I pray for each person who hears my voice today that you would bless them. I pray for the participants, God. Without them, we wouldn't have this opportunity. And I pray we always remember why we're here, to benefit charities and help others who are less fortunate. God, let every person that supports this tournament, by being a sponsor, participant, or just buy a t-shirt, knows they're making a difference in other people's lives. Today, Father, I lift up and pray for others who are sick or facing hardships. God, I pray for our friend Perry Nichols, who was up here this week. I pray for Chad Noble, Captain Leonard, Captain Tommy Fletcher. I pray for Tim Bosch. And I pray for our friend Ike, God. I pray for Brittany, Father, who was here on Ladies' Day, for Mark Phillips, for Harry Scheffenberger, for Captain Tom Krause, who had a heart surgery this week, for Dina Waldrop, for Vera Wood, Tucker Honeycutt and his family, for Gabby and Mason, Father, for the loss they had recently, for the Franklin family and a crew member of the Cutting Up and his wife, God, who are facing some hardships this week. I pray for the families of those who have recently lost loved ones, and I pray you welcome their loved ones into your home and give the families comfort, God. pray for those with unspoken needs. You know exactly who they are, and you can heal any illness and intervene in any situation. And we pray for your healing power. God, we pray for good fishing and good weather today. You blessed us with both of those things yesterday, Father, and it looks even better today. And I give thanks that this fellowship this week provides. Finally, Father, I pray for our country and our leaders, and I pray we put you first in everything we do. Amen.
Amen.
Captain Randy Ramsey.
Randy, his
Thank
prayers are getting a little longer.
It's like- Anyway,
He started about a minute late, but it's good.
I loved living that memory with Mike
Yes.
and his arrival to Jacksonville. That was one of the first things that Mike did. Besides,
I
becoming police
actually
chief.
worked for the Boys and Girls Club when I was in college.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah, I worked in their summer camp program.
Cool.
We had some good programs.
Yeah.
And appreciate what you've done. And now we got to talk about something more important.
Well, I don't know that it's more important.
Well,
Actually, it's a different. It's a
different-
it's a current
Okay.
deal. He's got a challenge on his hands.
That's
What
for
kind of
sure.
challenge?
He's got a challenge on his
Got a
hands.
challenge.
He's got to put up with politicians.
He put up with them every day as a chief of police, and
And for
Well,
40 some years.
Yeah, before we get that far,
Everything's
good God, that's
politics.
a long time.
Yeah,
Do you have a badge from every place you've been?
I do.
I've got 3 of them. And I just say, well, and they're just stuck in a drawer in there, but I know where they are. I also got my first service weapon. It's an 1851 musket.
many years ago, Rayford, you must be
I
tired.
do. It's a Springfield up there, but obviously it wasn't
Chief
my first
Tallman
service
gave
weapon.
me a musket ball.
Oh, did
Because
he?
he said, "Yeah, I carry
Uh-oh.
a musket." when I started.
I know where you can get some of those. Just go to the courthouse steps.
Oh, no, those are not musket balls. They're cannonballs.
They're ugly.
No.
Whatever. They need
They're
to.
nice.
They need to fix.
They can
that
bring them
thing.
out here. I'll take them.
We're talking about the.
You could go right along with my pickaxe
what do you
handle
call
over
it?
there.
Cannonballs.
No,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking about the
Little monument.
monument
Yes.
there at the courthouse. That's only
That's
half
such a
of it.
bone of contention there for a while.
Yeah, it's been missing the horse off of it since what 20, 30 years ago for a
Yeah,
hurricane,
yeah.
and they took it down for safekeeping, and
They lost the horse.
somebody lost a horse. That's an ugly monument.
How do you lose a horse?
I don't know. It's in somebody's shed somewhere.
It had the
no doubt.
wind
In a
blowing up
barn.
its backside, and it kept on going once the hurricane was past.
It's in a barn somewhere. Someday somebody's going to find that, and it's going to make an exceptional news story.
They'll
Missing
never
horse.
find it. I know
Never-
where it is.
Bottom of the ocean.
It's part of an artificial reef.
Hmm.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Get the cuffs out. Okay.
Mike, you're the longtime law enforcement, and you've decided you're throwing your hat into the ring, full
Yes.
speed ahead
Yes, I am.
for city council.
Yes.
So
Excellent.
you want to be one of the
Congratulations.
bosses of the people that were your bosses, right? As a group.
Well, I don't know about being a boss, but part of it is to continue the work that I have been doing
Sure.
for the last, the last 40 years or the last 20 some years in Jacksonville.
God.
There's a lot of things that I started that I want to continue: the reentry program, the homeless initiative, my work with child abuse and neglect in one place.
Mhm.
I mean, all those things are important to our community, and I mean, the community's given me a lot, given my children a lot. They went to high school here, and they've given me a lot. So, I mean, this is just continuing to try to give back to them.
Well, I think that I can say with some degree of expertise too, but going back in time, a long time, that you brought a lot to this community, to this department, and to the community.
Great.
And to the department, I know more about than I do the community, but
Mhm.
because
Well, I appreciate that.
you done good. And,
I think when we saw him take over, we saw the modernization
oh yeah,
of the
Yeah.
the public safety office, bringing it into
Oh.
the current.
it, it went way beyond the current.
Right.
This department, the Jacksonville PD, has head and shoulders above so many departments across this great country of ours. You leaped ahead
Well, you were talking about Massachusetts. I was up there at the.
And you survived.
It's
Did you pop a
the way that it's spelled is Haverhill, but it's Haverhill Police Department. So I've been doing assessments of police departments
Right.
for the last 30 years, actually.
Mhm.
And so I go in and I look at their policies and procedures. And the good thing about that process was it enabled me to look at police departments all over the country and bring back a lot of the things that they're doing.
You learned what they did wrong, and you came back here and you made sure we didn't do it, right?
Well, yeah, and,
Okay.
and a lot of things they did right, and a lot of things that one of the things that I really learned was about how we engage the community, and I think that's part of the reason that I've decided on this path is that we got to continue to engage the community. We got to continue to hear what their concerns are, whether it's taxes, whether it's crime, whether it's homelessness, whether it's quality of life issues. All those things are extremely important when we think about making our community a better place to live. And we've chosen Jacksonville to be our home. And
Good. We thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
and to that, my responsibility, I think, as a citizen, is to try to do everything I can to make it a better place to live.
And Jacksonville is going to be even better. First of all, we used to be two different places. We were the Marine Corps, and then we were Jacksonville, and there were oftentimes battles, not just with the guys out there, the men in the streets and coming in and having a good time, but the mentality was, we got Camp Lejeune and two different places. So I know you've been on the Military Affairs Committee. And a lot of that goes a long ways into bringing these two communities together.
I mean, and it's important,
It is.
because when we talk about the youngest community in one of the youngest communities in our country, and these Marines come to serve, and we've got to look out for them. We got to make sure that their experience here is good. And we also have to make sure that we're taking care of them,
Of course.
and their families, especially when they get deployed and they have to go someplace else and they leave their families here. We've got to make sure they're safe. We've got to make sure that they're healthy. All those things are extremely important, not just to Jacksonville, but to our entire country.
Moving back here in full time in 2009, 10, whatever it was, the difference in the community then and now, as compared to what it was in the 70s, is like, okay, really, I feel safe. I really do.
Well, I remember coming here and there was open air drug markets.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we had a lot of
Absolutely.
we had
I
a lot
bought
of
from some of them.
challenges.
Raver.
What? Well, then somebody had to come put cuffs on.
Somebody
them,
had to call you out. Rayford, stop.
So on this
He
next
knows
step,
what I mean.
Yeah,
next
yeah.
step, Mike, what ward are you going open? Is there
At large.
At
at
large.
large?
Yeah.
At large.
So everybody gets to vote.
So that
Lee
means-
is my treasurer.
Okay.
She's
I'm on
helping
his
me out.
team.
Okay.
We have a
At
great
large.
team. So,
Well,
yeah,
that's cool.
at large, that means if you are in the city limits, you can vote.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, this is one time I'm glad I'm in the city limits.
Oh, don't you know it?
And I wish I was.
Mhm.
Well, I can give you a room for a while.
Thank you.
we get you registered.
Yeah.
Change your
We
address.
can change your address for a while till after the election.
Then I got a boat down there with a head and a galley. As long as it's got a place to sleep and a bathroom and a place to cook, that can be a home.
Well, I've been told I live at the church.
Well, there's been people that have run before that have used an address that they absolutely did not live
I
at.
know that too.
We're not going to get into
No.
that, but yeah.
Well, we've lived in the same house for 20 some years.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you'll be just fine.
It's fine.
I just think is after you worked in law enforcement all your life and you've been on so many committees and you're still engaged and to jump into politics, that's a big step. That's like, wow.
Well, but it also gave me a lot of perspective of the needs of the community.
Right.
You know, what can I do to help those children that are being abused, help those children that are latchkey children. When we talked about the Boys and Girls Club, you know, the homeless issue, the mental health issue. I mean, I spent a lot of time on the mental health issue and the opening of the Dix Crisis Center because, you know, a number of years ago, they just throw those people on the street and they're just forgotten. And we can't do that. We gotta be able to do better. And, you know, when we talk about taxes and we talk about some of those things, you know, listening to the report that the homeless folks gave us, the need for quality low income housing in this community is great. So, I mean, there's a lot of challenges that we gotta continue to make our community a better place to live.
And a lot of the low income housing went away suddenly.
It did.
With over in New River. And
Yeah.
that put a hurting on
That's
the
like
city.
600 units, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, yeah, it did hurt. And it continues to be a challenge.
Yes.
You know,
So any thoughts about that?
well, you know, the average income is $68,000. And if you think about $68,000 and the amount of rent that you have to pay, the amount for food, insurance, that doesn't leave you a lot now. I mean, 68,000 sound like a lot, but it's in this day and time, it's not. And so we got to look at the taxes to try to keep them low. We got to look at quality housing for those folks, quality safe housing, and start to look at how we do things to make our community more amenable, especially to these young people that are coming in every year.
I don't want to say crime is under control because you know what's going to happen the minute I do that.
And don't say that.
I won't do that. I won't do it. There's
Just
already-
like the H word. Don't say the H word.
Or the Q word. Right.
Yeah, but anyway, we're so much more better off than we used to be.
I think we are. I think
So-
we've done a great job of reducing crime. You know, we're talking about the open air drug markets.
Sure.
You know, one of the things that we did was we had officers assigned to the federal task force, and I think to me that was one of the best decisions we made because it enabled us to enter the federal system.
Yep.
And you know.
Knock. You can do the time, dude.
Oh yeah. It's truth in sentencing, very truth in sentencing. So you know, you get 5 years, you stay in federal prison for 5 years, and I think that's been some of our successes have been involved in those things. And now they have somebody at the ATF task force, DEA, FBI, and so those task forces allow them to use the resources of the federal government to make our community a safer place.
I know you read about it or heard about it. 5 guys this week. Some tips came into the PD about 5 guys with guns, bragging, showing them off, pointing them, doing whatever. Well, 5 guys went to jail, a couple of them in jail without benefit of bond, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to read between the lines on the releases there, but I've got some ideas. But these are some bad-looking dudes, but none of them had a record with DOC, with Department of Corrections. That was not even one of them, which is unusual.
Yeah, it is.
When I find something like that, because I'll run them. I'll run everybody. I'll run victims just because. But
He's
this
run
was really.
all of us.
Oh yeah,
He's
This
run
is-
all of us.
this is really weird.
I need to say something too.
I'm glad you got them.
Right.
Mike is not unfamiliar with council chambers.
No.
Because Mike is he's at every city council
Yeah.
meeting.
I went to every city
Everyone.
council meeting for I don't know how many years.
Word is you didn't
lot.
trust them, so you stayed there just in case, right?
Well, to see some that were promoted. A lot of promotions happened
Yeah.
under your watch, and
A lot of good people.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
we've had an outstanding council over
We have.
the years.
Oh yeah.
And we have, people leaving now that have decided to go on with other things. And so it's a great opportunity to have somebody like Mike with his qualifications and his experience and his knowledge to step into one of
Who
those seats.
else? What other citizen in Jacksonville, other than a police officer, that sees Jacksonville at all hours of the day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year? Who else other than a cop actually is out there walking amongst them?
Well, that's one thing from a retirement standpoint. I don't get
You don't
called
miss
in,
that one.
I don't get called in the middle of the night.
I got that part, but
Yeah.
you have been there. You
Oh, yeah,
know
yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, numerous times.
What an advantage to have on council. Because one day somebody comes up and say, well, they got such and such and such. No, that's not exactly the case, sir.
Well, I mean, I learned just not from the police side, but from an entire city side.
Mhm.
I learned about sewer. I learned about
You have to.
I mean, the aquifers and the challenges with the aquifers, and I learned about solid waste, because when you're sitting at those council meetings,
Osmosis, you're going to get something, aren't you?
That's right. That's right.
So that's the other thing, too. It would be, I would think that anybody who's even thinking of running for a public office, school board, county commission, city council, whatever, that they would be attending these meetings for a year or more at least, just to kind of get their feeling. Do I really want to do this? That's number one. Do I want to do it? And what can I bring to the table?
I think that is important. And I think I've been able to connect people, to link people together when we're addressing certain issues. That's really what my job has been for the last. How we link people together, and how we listen to people. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough, because if you're not listening to your constituents, then you're not going to be successul.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to listen to every person and what their concerns are.
I don't know. I see it as a good fit all the way around. Has anybody else announced they're running for at large?
I have not heard.
Okay.
The final date is
Yeah.
July the 7th.
Yeah, I got that. But gentlemen,
So
you're stepping forward early, which is a good thing, by the way. And I encourage anybody who's running for a public office, don't wait till the last day. Okay. Why? Because every time that somebody files, the media is going to pick up on it, and then they're going to mention everybody else who's already filed. Well, let me think about the logic in that. So then you get every time somebody else files, you're going to be mentioned. Duh.
Well, one thing I like
Strategy.
about what he's done is he's shown his commitment already to what he wants to do. I mean, he's talked about, running for this position. He's already done all his campaign paperwork. It's on file with the Board of Elections. He's already starting to talk to people. I mean, he's wasting no time.
In other words, you've been bored for the past year, right?
All he has to do is
good for you.
filing opens is officially filed for the position, put it on paper, but he's already showing the commitment to what he wants to do by doing everything and getting everything set up. So he's legal, ready to go.
And I guarantee he won't be using an auto pen to sign in with you.
No.
Oh, no.
So-
Well, thank you, Lee, for helping me with that.
Oh, no, it was my pleasure. And it's like I said, I've stepped out of the political arena as far as doing,
But you can
but
advise.
what
people.
I've dropped back to the grassroots, to where I'm on the street and helping the candidates and the people that I think are viable and great for our community. And when we talked, I said, I'm right there for you. So,
And Melinda's helping me.
and
quite a bit.
Melinda and I, we've got our little team going on. Yeah. So Melinda hires.
You going to help me if I file?
I'll help you run for the border.
So,
I
Mike,
can
I
go down there, though.
I will help you, but
Mike, I'm sorry.
no, you go right ahead.
Mike, how advantageous do you think it was for you to attend these meetings and listen to the public hearings when
Oh,
they
yeah,
have the
public
public,
hearings,
people coming in and talking about all the different things, the housing and developments that were going on and things like that.
Well, I mean, it really has been I mean, it is a learning process, and the learning process started from the first council meeting that I attended. As a police administrator, that was 30 some. It was 1994
Wow.
when I became a police administrator. So I attended council meetings. You know, it seems like some of them went till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Some of them were contentious. Some of them were very challenging. But you know, as I sat there and listened to that, I realized the most important thing that as the police chief I could do was listen. And I think as a city council person, listening is probably the most important thing. Having the opportunity to listen to what the concerns are, you know, and trying to figure out. I mean, just like the child abuse issue, we know that's a major issue in our community because of our young population, and we got to continue to look at ways to prevent it. Because really, that's you know, I think about being strategic in how we do things, and I think that's what I bring to the table. I think, you know, looking at it from a broad perspective. And, you know, like I said, I've had an opportunity to learn for the last 40 years about municipal government.
So in the last 20 plus years here in Jacksonville, as a police chief, you got to meet a lot of people.
That's true.
I'm sure you had a lot of rubber chicken dinners and those terrible garden peas that are just like, ugh. We all know about those. But go into council meetings where you listen to the public.
Right.
I'm sure that over the last 20 years, their priorities, the people's priorities have changed a bit, which is probably a good thing. So what do you see now? Listening to them over the past 20 years, what do you see as the needs of Jacksonville based upon both what you've seen and the people you've talked to and the people that you've listened to at council meetings?
Well, I think number one is public safety, you know, making
Always.
sure that our community is safe. I think the second is, you know, the burden that we put on our taxpayers. I mean, how can we, and I think some of that is strategically how we look at things. You know, if we're spending $1, how does that impact? How does that impact the taxpayer? You know, how can we look at the tax rate and possibly reduce it, possibly reduce that burden? Because I think if we reduce taxes, then one of the things that it does is stimulate economic, and that's the third one.
Mm-hmm.
How do we look at economic growth? You know, when we did the Weed and Seed program, we brought in people from across the country to talk about strategies to develop economic growth, whether it's TIF financing, whether it's other things that we could do that could stimulate some economic growth. And you know, when I drove over here, I drove by the Sears building. That building's been empty for a number of years. How can we? What can go in there, and how can we incentivize people to do business in Jacksonville?
Car shows, boat shows, indoor. They have them up north because the weather is never conducive for them. But why not have all the car dealers get together? They got 400 here in town.
Didn't they used to do that?
They've done them in
Back in the
places.
day,
They did them.
yeah.
They did them at the Independence Mall in Wilmington, even while it's open.
Yeah.
They brought in cars. They brought in boats. But things like that. I mean, there's plenty of room there.
There is.
Why not do something like that?
I'll tell you, number one thing they need to open an Amazon store, like a Sears store.
Well,
Oh,
there you go. They got a place
you
for
get
it.
a lot of business there. Well, we've got that big warehouse Amazon is building, and it's near completion.
It is. It is near completion.
All those things. Then.
The other
We got a
pro-
swimming pool too coming.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
happy.
We got our
Well,
civic center. Yeah, we really need to. That's
this-
right there, because I know they're talking about bringing in a lot of businesses for that, and I know they were still in negotiations with a lodge, so that right there would bring in some economic value to our area by bringing in some of those top businesses like Top Golf.
I'll tell you. Oh yeah, that'd be
Kelly
great.
and I
Well,
are not letting it go.
I think their vision is something like Mayfair, which
Yes.
is
Right.
which is
A city.
Yeah,
It's a city unto itself.
you know, when I was in Massachusetts, I stayed in a hotel that was in a complex like that, and you know the people were, even though it was cold, at least for me, it wasn't for them. It was for me, and no sweet tea.
No sweet tea.
Yeah, couldn't be there.
And I mean, it was crowded. There were a lot of people there. There were a lot of people eating dinner. There were a lot of people shopping and those things. So, and I think that stimulates the economic growth. And that's what, you know, as we stimulate our economic growth, then we're able to reduce the burden on taxpayers.
One of the other things I wanted to talk about with Mike, and the way he connects with the citizens, is Coffee with a Cop.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the greatest programs that I know we've had a couple at our church.
Yeah, the coffee with the chief and just,
Yeah, and
Shop with a cop.
yeah. But those things enabled us to actually hear what people would talk about. What their concerns are.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really what city government is supposed to be doing, is listening to the citizens and then trying to address their concerns.
And yesterday, PD and the sheriff's office together they had this, what is it called? Something
the fill
for
bags of
for kids.
Yeah.
For first responders to carry kits, things to entertain kids when they're doing a defib on the parent or grandparent and the kids are in the house, or they're trying to get Narcan to work on somebody who's down and out and there are kids in the house. Yep. Nobody, I don't think, really thinks so much. I know first responders do about these kids in a situation like that. They have no choice but to be there, and there's something needs to help them. Someone's got to help them.
So the COSAP grant that we the COSAP grant that we have, one of the counselors that we hired, that's her specific responsibility. So if we have an overdose tonight, her goal was to go out and talk to the family and see if they can get them services.
Right.
And she's done an excellent job of being able to connect a lot of those folks, not just from overdoses, but also domestic violence.
Sure.
To keep those kids, because that's really how you break that cycle of violence, drug abuse, mental health, is addressing those children who have witnessed that trauma. You know, we talk about ACEs, we talk about you know, the things that burden people and cause them to have issues with drug abuse and mental health, and that really is the basis for causes of crime. You know, and if we can address that at that early age, we can really impact our community, make it a better place. I mean, the first 2,000 days of a child's life are the most important. That's when their character is formed. And so being able to provide quality things for them to, whether it's daycare, whether it's engaging them in reading books or those kinds of things, then we can have some significant impact as they grow up.
Yeah, there was a bread commercial. I mentioned it recently. There was a bread commercial talking about the formative years is what they call them, those first 2,000 days. And this bread commercial was talking about that. Of course, they were doing it for personal reasons and monetary gain and whatever. But anyway, they're right.
Well, I mean, that's been my that's really been my passion with One Place is, you know, the Child Advocacy Center obviously is important because it heals those kids that are abused, but the other side of it is what they're doing with Head Start and those other programs that they're trying to maintain quality childcare for these folks that are bringing their children to daycare.
Mhm.
I mean, that's an important part of it too, because when we talked about the $68,000, a lot of times, it's a 2-income family,
Yeah.
and we gotta and they're in daycare, and we gotta provide quality daycare, and I think that's one of the benefits of having one place, not just for the Child Advocacy Center, which is extremely important, which was one of my passions, but also the quality of, because that's what makes our community a better place, and it'll make our community a better place in the future.
I can't imagine a family, 2 kids, husband and wife. Wife's going to have to work, but actually, when they start thinking of daycare at that point in time, the wife's salary goes straight to daycare. So
Yeah.
quite a few of these folks will not work because of that. So
Yeah.
they're not able to contribute monetarily to the total income, but they stay home with the kid. But they lose the money
Yeah, it's
unless something is done about it. God,
Yeah, I mean,
that's tough today, these days.
yeah. I mean, our inflation has, obviously everything is more expensive, and so we got to think about these young families. We got to think about how we govern our community to make it better for them. And the Ospreys is one of those things. It's an opportunity for kids or families to have a positive activity.
Mhm.
And we got to think about how we do that, and how we can do more of that, and how we can partner with other organizations.
Sure.
It's not, it may not be the city, but it's linking those services together and linking people together to improve those services.
Are you open to phone calls right now?
Sure.
Yep. Everyone-
910-333-0139 if you'd like to talk to Councilman soon to be elect
Council candidate
council candidate.
Mike Inera,
Okay.
retired police chief, public safety director for the city of Jacksonville, former police officer, chief, administrator in a town far, far away in Tennessee, Bristol.
Bristol,
Bristol,
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I
That
love
way,
Bristol.
at those council meetings that went to the wee morning hours in Tennessee, I know about that neck of the woods.
In North Carolina too.
I don't know, that's just across the border. You know where I'm going, don't we?
Yeah.
And then they take those, after the gavel hit and said, okay, everybody go home now at 3:00 in the morning, did they pass that big round jug?
Chris, didn't we have a local board of education meeting last almost midnight? Was
Yes,
that
it did.
on that last year?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did.
I remember those
Yeah.
contentious meetings.
Oh, in 2000, I think it was 2006 or 2007, we had one here that went till
Wee hours.
Yeah.
It did.
Who was mad at whom?
I don't actually recall. I actually recall sitting in that council.
Did you
meeting.
sleep?
No, I did not sleep.
You
Trying to
didn't doze at all?
remember. What was the bone of contention at that meeting? What was the big? Do you remember?
I don't
They
recall.
were talking about giving the police chief a pay raise.
They might have been. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been ordering in pizza, just sitting there waiting.
But you mentioned
Yeah.
the public safety director part. So, Mike, you went from having to do, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, from having to do just the budget for the police side to a much huger
That's
budget
right.
to work
That's
on.
right.
Yes, I mean, me talking now, much huger. Much more better.
Okay.
Well, when I was in Bristol, we were public safety officers, so they sent me to the fire academy, and they sent, and I had already, I've been a paramedic. I actually was a paramedic with the Virginia State Police for 20 years.
What?
So I'd leave the police department and go to the state police and work there. I worked there 36 hours a week. And
You are glutton for punishment.
Not only that, how do you keep looking so young?
I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed him coming in today, how tan you are. Where have
Not-
you been?
Not in Massachusetts.
I know.
It wasn't in Massachusetts. It was rainy and it was cold.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
Stay on up there.
I knew the weather was bad.
But I've
yeah.
been walking every morning, so that's where I think I
It was
got
like
the
he tanned right up since the last visit.
If anybody got a question, you got an observation, you really got one for Mike Canaro, candidate for
Yeah.
city council. The first one to announce.
And maybe somebody out there can call in with some insight on what they'd like to see next in the city, where they would like to see the city government, take an additional step.
That could be so. You may be sitting on part of his platform. You never know.
That's
He's
right.
open.
And I'll tell you, I love the city of Jacksonville. Grew up here. It's my
You
home.
never grew up.
No, that's true. But there's always room for changes and something that might bring us a little bit more. I do commend the city council and the mayor for what they've done as far as bringing us a civic center proposed, and we've got YMCA coming in, which they're here, and the Amazon plant. And so I think the biggest thing, and I know when we had Anthony Prince on the show, he talked about trying to develop and try to attract places like Amazon, et cetera, industries and stuff to come into our area.
We need FedEx here.
Which is going to really increase work and pay and et cetera for
Here's a good one for you.
citizens. So
I go once a month to Wilmington, and at the time of day I go, it's okay, not bad. I leave from here at 9:30ish
get to Hampstead.
until I get to Hampstead, and then it's just.
It's a mess down there.
But between about the time I leave from here and I get to around Holly Ridge, from that point in time on, it's wall to wall. It looks like a convention of FedEx people coming out of Wilmington, trucks going this way. They have a plane that lands there, offloads a bunch of junk or stuff that's going to be delivered. The largest number I've counted was 61, I think, trucks in that short period of time. It doesn't take me that long to drive from Holly Ridge or just south of Holly Ridge, north of Holly Ridge to Hampstead. But there will be, I've had as many as 61 or 62 trucks.
I've seen that going to Wilmington too.
Think about it. I get bored, so I started counting one day, and my wife was, "What are you doing?" So she got to be funny. Now she's not here, but she's, "How many trucks today?" She'll ask. Why not have a hub here? Why not drop an airplane in here?
I don't understand why they don't do that.
Because that many trucks that are coming this way,
and some of that, I don't
every day.
And then your packages don't get here till 7, 8 o'clock at night.
There you go. And then those trucks got to drive back to Wilmington.
Well, it can't be the runways, because before it moved to Wilmington, it was in New Bern. So all those trucks were coming down 17.
So you should
in this
always mail
direction.
through the post office.
Okay.
Well, I do know that they're working on the airport to get larger planes in, and
But they can handle a FedEx plane now.
I don't understand that.
But anyway, somebody needs. That would be a great thing for the city to start pushing through there.
Yeah, right there in the industrial center, the business industrial center.
Yeah.
So
Behind the YMCA, that would be good.
throw another question. I'll ask a question, Mike. So our working relationship with Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune.
Lejeune.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's wrong.
See, I could be a politician
I'm
as
not
to either
wrong,
one, but
Wishy-washy.
you had good
I just
working
tolerate you
relationships
doing
with the I guess provost marshals.
Oh yeah,
office still?
Provost and NCIS.
Yeah.
And really the commands that have been there, we always had a good working relationship, because part of our responsibility was to provide for those Marines and sailors that are stationed at Camp Lejeune, making sure their family is safe. We've got a lot of partnerships with them. I mean, the one that really comes to mind is we had some domestic violence homicides, and we got together with the Marine Corps base, and now we have a partnership where we call PMO, and they work with us to make sure that those Marines and sailors that are involved in domestic violence are given the services that they need. And I think more partnerships like that. I mean, you talked about public safety director, the partnership we have with the Camp Lejeune Fire Department. I mean,
Yes.
that's a cost savings for the city. That's a cost savings for them, to combine those two departments and work together to make sure that our community is a safer place.
Hey, I gotta ask another question. I'm sorry, but I've got another question because I'm wearing
Don't look at me and ask
well, I'm not
me.
going to. You
I don't know
you
anything.
control those. You can cut me off anytime.
He's already cut me off a couple times.
But I happen to be wearing a certain shirt that I know is important to Mike as well.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean,
20.
Are you on the board of that too?
Well, I was an
Advisor.
ad hoc member, but the Crime Stoppers program, I can't say enough good things about it because, I mean, when we had the homicide outside the bingo, we paid a lot of money that and it paid off. I mean, and we had a gang homicide at the mall one time, and had Crime Stoppers not been there, I'm not sure if we would have solved that or not.
Yep.
And they've been an integral part of us. When we talk about the partnership with them, sometimes we would take drug money and put it into the Crime Stoppers kitty to allow them to say, rather than $2,500 or $5,000 or $10,000, depending on the homicide or the event.
Up the ante.
Yeah, and they've been a really critical part of our success in our community.
Not that I'm proposing that you not file or list it on your income tax returns, but folks, that's up to you. But you will get it in cash.
Mm-hmm.
If you make a tip that it turns out to be good, they won't know your name. They don't ask your name. They don't care who you are. Unless you want to be, if you're a witness and firsthand and you want to testify, that's cool. You still get the money.
Well, I remember the gang homicide. They led us to the murder weapon. They led us to the clothes that the person was wearing.
My God, that's just that's heaven for a cop.
Yeah.
And to go back to the tragic event at the bingo parlor, one of the tips came, and the people had moved to California where the tip had come in, and we gave them, we had sent them their just reward for the tips, and they sent it back. And the reason they sent it back is they just were glad that Jacksonville Police Department got these people.
Yay.
That's
That's the way I'd feel about it in a heartbeat. So, just go, just get her done. But, well, we covered pretty much all the bases. An interesting story I've told before, back in the days of Crime Stoppers first getting kicked off in Wilmington, New Hanover, and that also down in Horry County, and that's the correct pronunciation.
Yes.
Is Horry. Look it up. You'll
Not
find out.
Horry.
No,
Horry.
Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
But I did the reenactment videos for the Crime Stoppers in New Hanover County, and then they started one in Myrtle Beach, and the TV station, we were the primary TV station there at the time. So I got requested to do a reenactment for every one of these crimes that they were highlighted once a month for TV. And one of them, that the victim in Myrtle Beach was a rape victim. She wanted, without anybody knowing it, she wanted to portray the victim on TV. The guy turned himself in. He said he did not know there were video cameras, surveillance cameras. He thought it was real. They're not real bright, some of these people out there that you deal with, are they?
No, they're not.
Anyway, it's something, he fessed up.
But I can't say enough good things about the Crime
Oh,
Stopper
it's
program.
great. It is a wonderful thing. Because, he gave up. The mother gave her son up on another case. I know it's him.
we have a meeting today at 12 noon, so I'll pass along the kind compliments, Mike.
Oh,
Well, it's not just me too. It's the state. The state's recognized
Take them with you.
a number
Always
of
invited.
a number of awards, being the best Crime Stopper program. I remember when we did the text to tip, and those things are have paid dividends in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, good for Crime Stoppers. Thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, I just do what I can, but it was when we had our celebration, Mike was there because you were celebrating, I think, your retirement the same day.
Yeah, it was about the same time. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, it started. I think it started 2001,
Mm-hmm.
and I came in 2004, and we did a lot of things. We did some billboards. We did. We had billboards there. We did some other things to try to encourage people. And then the program that you have with the Marine Corps, the program that you have with the school system, all have been extremely important to making our community. And going back to what you said, Rayford, about I always thought that it didn't matter if they lived on one side of the fence or the other. We're all one community.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
mean, I remember arguing with our training and standards about military police and trying to get them certified to the state, and then saying, well, they don't, they're not really police officers. I said, well, what do you mean?
He's got a stick and a gun and he arrests people.
And they're across the street. They're doing the same job across the street that we're doing in this community. And we're just one community. And we had a lot of discussions about the 911 system and about the state funding the 911 system. And that had been a bone of contention because it's making sure that our citizens, whether they're on one side of the fence or the other, get the services that they deserve. Was, as a police chief, my responsibility from a public safety standpoint.
You know why it's called 911?
Why?
This is a little trivia. This is according to in the early days, I went to one of the schools where they had somebody from the organization, what was becoming the 911 center operation. And they said, a little kid popped up. They used to call it 911. Little kid pops up, says, my telephone doesn't have an 11 on it. How do I call you? They changed it to 911. That's according to the story from the folks at the 911 system.
Well,
Not locally. I'm talking about national.
that is interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable. If you're in a kid's frame of mind, I don't know. My phone doesn't have an 11 on it. What do I do now?
And that's been we used to do the 7-digit numbers to call, but we've evolved to make it more efficient, make it more effective, and I think we have done that. More professional telecommunicators.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of times we talk about first responders, we talk about firefighters, police officers, EMS workers, but they're the first step in it. And
They are.
And they, we recognizing them is extremely important because it's a very stressful job.
I don't want it.
Yeah, it's extremely stressful.
They deal with everything.
Yeah, they deal with everything. Plus, a lot of times they don't get the same closure that officers or firefighters or EMS workers get because they don't know what happened. And, the stress that's involved with being a telecommunicator is sometimes can be extreme. Trying to get the right resources to the incident and making sure they're all coordinated.
Yeah, their duty usually ends sometimes within just minutes, and sometimes they may not ever see or hear the results.
They might not be out where the fire's going on or the shooting's going on or whatever, but the stress for them is still there.
Imagine. You've got somebody on the other end that's talking about suicide, and you're holding your breath and trying to keep them calm and keep them from doing that, and then once first responders arrive, your job is over. You
and
hang
then you
up.
answer the next call.
And then you're like wondering,
Hello, 911.
God, the pressures on a 911 operator have to be immense.
Kudos to them. And they can make or break a cop's life too in the
They
field.
can. They
I'll tell
can.
you that.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Like, I need you to go to Martin Marietta, the Rock Quarry, or, send them somewhere that nobody wants to go.
Of course, one of
I'll be
the
getting even.
Like the aquarium in Fort Fisher.
Oh.
With
At
the
night.
alligators are out there. Go check an
Isn't
alarm.
it rumored to be haunted?
There's no rumor.
Oh, it is.
The
It's not a-
aquarium
It's not
is?
a rumor.
The aquarium or Fort Fisher?
Fort Fisher.
Oh.
That's
It's
rumored to be haunted. So,
Yeah, but walking up with a flashlight, you're all alone. Your walkie-talkie doesn't work down there because in those days, you're too far from the repeaters. And you go down there, you get out of the car, you unlock the gate because we had a gate key, and you're walking up that ramp, and you
What?
hear the gators. They're out there in a big area, fenced in, you hope. But have you seen those gators climbing over fences down in Florida?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
going to people's,
That's what I thought. Every
going
time.
through their doggy doors.
And when you shine the flashlight down there and you got all these little eyes, and I'm like, God, I need a bigger gun.
I want to throw out a kudos because something tells me, Mike, that you are the force behind what's now going to occur, and that's the body cams.
So we've had a lot of discussion about the body cams and the in-car cameras.
Mhm.
And at the time when we looked at, we wanted one or the other. And of course, the cost is part of the challenge is the cost,
You got a lot of cops, but only a few cars, right? Basically.
Because of the state requirements that require us to keep that data for a period of time, it's 1 gig per officer per shift. And so we had the in-car cameras because that platform was a little bit more stable. But the cameras have been we've had cameras here since the 90s, and they're extremely important. I mean, a lot of the officers involved shootings that we had were caught on cameras.
We appreciate you coming in. I also have an
Awesome.
invitation for you, an event that you went to a year ago, 11 months ago to be exact, or close to exact.
Oh.
This is yours. It's an invitation at the bottom of it. It's a little history, and as a result of you showing up at this event, the
wow.
Onslow Amateur Radio Club and the National Field Day event that's coming up,
You can politic.
28th, 29th. Yeah, you can
You
volunteer.
can politic.
But anyway, you're invited to be out there. It's going to be at the sheriff's training range, training facility out near the tax office. And so, but you're invited to be there as a result of you appearing the last time. And we had a conversation, and then I carried it to the club, and then there's now downtown, sitting there in the right across from where you will have the EOC operational.
Yeah, that was a good partnership.
It was a great partnership.
Because whether it's a hurricane, whether it's National Night Out, whether it's some of the other events that we had to, the amateur radio clubs provide a quality service for us.
And being there, I think during one of the storms, you guys had a little bit of a interruption in communications between the EOC, the county's EOC operation, which is the overall thing, and your EOC, that you won't have ever again because the hams are set up at both locations.
And
Now.
during Florence, we had some real concerns about that. Because the generators at all the sites were getting low on gas, and of course we were an island onto itself, so we weren't getting fuel.
Yeah.
And luckily we were able to. Actually, we sent officers up toward Raleigh to bring people in
Really?
a different route because
Okay.
they where we knew that there wasn't any water, and that was because cell towers they had the same issue.
They die.
Yeah.
They got batteries for a little while, generators for a really short period of time because they run out of gas.
I used to say we planned for 3 days, on a hurricane. Well, that hurricane sat on top of us for 3 days solid and dropped rain and
31 inches in some places in
Yeah.
Onslow County. So
Yeah.
it was a story we don't want to ever repeat again.
well, and partnering with the amateur radios gives us a more capacity to make sure that people are safe.
We are,
Mhm.
the hams are completely self-sufficient.
Mhm.
They've got radios, they get go kits. Pretty much every ham's got a go kit they take to go to every shelter. All the shelters, when they open up, they got 2 ham radio operators there. And they can keep from having to use up cell tower space in case they don't, they're trying to use cell towers to call in. We've got vacancies here. We have 3 beds left, or we have 3 areas left, or whatever, or we're full, send them somewhere else. They get relayed by ham radio now back to the EOC, and they can handle all of that dispersing. It saves channels.
Yeah, well, if you think about, the power going out and not having, most generators
Yeah.
are about 3 days. And once the fuel's gone,
We're
then
battery powered as need be.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk forever.
yeah,
And it's like my system over here. I was talking with the National Hurricane Center Sunday. They were having a little get together.
Can you call them for me?
But we did that via ham radio. I can do that from here direct to Miami.
wow.
Then don't have to deal with trying to get through on telephone or wait for them to.
You
do
have a
something.
chainsaw?
I do. I have a chainsaw. If you need it, I'll bring it.
Oh, you can just leave the chainsaw there, right?
Yeah.
We might be calling a group out Saturday. I'll let you know.
Tree trimming party,
Yeah.
not Christmas trees, but it'll be fun. Thanks for coming here.
Yeah, thank
We
you
do
so
appreciate your
much.
time
Thanks
as
for having
always,
me.
and I think it's going to be you're going to have fun. City's going to be in good hands.
Well, thank you very much.
Again.
Mike Yanero.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
We're looking good for the future here.
I guess they haven't dropped the
Lines in the water, man. We'll see you.
Just in time. Lines in the water.
They just told it. Captain Ramsey just called it out there. It's 9 o'clock and all lines are in the water, y'all. So we're good to go. All right. Mike Yanero, and thank you, sir. We do appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me
And
again.
I hope to see you on
Oh,
the
we'll
28th or
have you back.
29th or both.
Yeah.
Come on, stay all night if you want to.
I'm not sure I'd stay up all night. I've been getting used to sleeping
Yeah,
through the night.
You got plenty of time now. You can study for about a week, 1 hour a day. We can get you that test.
How does it?
You can get yourself a ham license.
How does it feel to be able to go to bed at night knowing you're not going to get a 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock wake up phone call?
It's
nice.
different.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for 40-some
I
years.
can't
Yes.
imagine that. I just can't.
Oh, yeah.
40 years, people call me, and I think my wife likes it better. And then wake her up, and then she's not worrying about me while I'm
When
gone.
you go out.
It's true. True.
The worst thing a cop can do is leave a scanner at his house on.
That's right.
Don't ever.
You're
do
going to
that.
have to bring her in with you one day when you come in here.
I will.
Yeah,
We want to
we-
meet the
We do.
other
Absolutely.
side.
Okay, it's good. Thank you, sir. You have a great rest of the day, and a good weekend coming up.
It's gonna be a nice
pretty
weekend. At least it's warm here. It's not cold like it was in Massachusetts.
I never
You can
expected
get sweet tea and fries here.
in June that we're going to have somebody not complaining about the heat. In other words, welcoming the heat here.
You said something about
That's
we
funny.
were texting back and forth, and you said something about that they didn't quite understand you when you were
they
talking
didn't
to
quite
them.
understand me.
Yeah.
They talk a little bit different.
Because we have to pop that dang car somewhere, right?
They talk a little bit different, and of course,
Whatever it is.
Haverhill.
Haverhill.
is 30 minutes outside of Boston. So the traffic there
Oh,
was
yes.
horrendous.
Oh, man.
It was, you talk about Hampstead,
Ooh, dude.
it's nothing compared to that.
Ooh.
I was hoping you get time to go by Canton while you were there. For that, but they rested the case, and
Oh, yeah.
they'll do jury instructions today and tie up some loose ends, and then tomorrow it goes to jury.
Guilty.
She's not guilty, even if she is guilty. She's not.
Jailhouse
To
style.
be continued.
It's a bad
It's a robbery.
investigation.
I don't care what it is, but she's guilty. If she wasn't guilty, the cops would not have arrested her.
Oh,
Is that
if
right,
the
Mike?
cops wouldn't have planted all the evidence they planted.
No comment, right, Mike?
Staying out of this.
I don't blame him.
You know I'm a huge Back the Blue supporter.
Live and local, real talk, and guess what? We'll be back in
Oh,
here
and
again
just-
tomorrow.
yeah.
And tomorrow we've got
We've got Ted Pope. He's the president of Einer Asset LSC. Is a disabled veteran-owned small business. He is the one that has come out with this like potato chip snack,
Yep.
and that is making such a big splash in the world.
and we don't think he's related to one of our local lawyers, but I'm not
No,
sure.
no, he's not.
I'm going to ask him.
His latest product is a kosher certified, all natural, gluten free, non GMO, allergen free, no red dye, and vegan Caribbean flavored potato chips.
Now look at me. Say that again without reading it.
You know better.
We'll see y'all in the morning.
Have
Be
a great
safe.
day.